Hello everyone, it's day 69 and today I have 11th May Indian Express newspaper and I am on the explained page. There's one important article that I found over this page which is regarding the Israel, Saudi Arabia and the churn in the Middle East which is going on recently and how India view these all the events that are happening in the Middle East region right now. So this article is written by Shubhajit Roy. So let us see. The United States is trying to forge a mutual defense treaty with Saudi Arabia and help Israel in its conflict with Hamas and Iran, such that Israel and Saudi Arabia are trading places. So the columnist Thomas Friedman wrote in the New York Times last week. So, according to the article, the Saudi US deal will pivot on the specific ways in which the US will control the civilian nuclear energy program that the kingdom will get, the precise, whether explicit or less formal, nature of the mutual defense pact, and on the Saudi Arabia's commitment to not move from US dollars to the Chinese yuan in pricing oil. So, however, for the deal to go through, it is critical that the Saudi normalizes relation with the Israel, Friedman wrote, and that will happen only if Israel get out of Gaza, freeze the building of settlement in the West Bank, and embark on a 3 to 5 year pathway to establish a Palestinian state in the occupied territories. For US President Joe Biden, heading into a difficult re election battle in November, this scenario could bring significant benefits. Also, a successful conclusion of the US Saudi Mutual Defense Treaty would signal that America is back in play in the Middle East, where Beijing announced its increasing strategic clout by brokering a peace deal between Riyadh and Tehran in March 2023. So India and Saudi Arabia. For India, US Saudi Arabia pact and peace between Israel and Israel and Hamas could mean an opportunity to better harness the region's potential. Especially over the past decade, India has sought to build its relationship with the Saudi Arabia, where the young Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been driving a range of radical reforms to put his country in better sync with the 21st century world. India Saudi Arabia trade was valued at $52.76 billion in 2022-2023, and India is the second largest trade partner for Saudi, while Saudi is India's fourth largest trade partner. India is second largest trade partner of Saudi, while Saudi is the India's fourth largest partner. Okay, energy cooperation is at the heart of the relationship. Saudi Arabia was India's third largest crude and petroleum product sourcing destination in 2022-2023. Major Saudi investment groups Aramco, SABIC, Jamil, E Holidays, and Al Baterjee Group have invested in India. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund has put an approximately $4.6 billion in the Indian startup such as Delivery, First Cry, Grofers, Ola, Oyo, Paytm, and Policy Bazaar. The more than 2.4 million strong Indian community in Saudi Arabia is seen as living bridge between two countries, and the Indian diaspora is widely restricted in the kingdom of their contributions. So, India and Israel. India's ties with Israel have become steadily more visible and significant over the past decade or so, centered mainly on defense and security, innovation, and agriculture and water. Trade volumes have risen from around $200 million in 1992, consisting primarily of diamonds, to $10.7 billion, excluding defense, in 2022-23, of which Indian exports were around $8.4 billion. India is Israel's second largest trading partner in Asia and the seventh largest globally. Israel has been a major supplier of the defense equipment as well as of the high tech communication system that have helped meet some of India's security tech challenges. Israel is an important partner to India in the innovation ecosystem, smart irrigation system being an example of cooperation in this field. So, the potential and the challenge. The strengthened bilateral strategic partnership have allowed India to de-link its domestic policies from its foreign policy and strategies in the region as a whole. After more than 3 decades of diplomatic work on its relationship in the Middle East, New Delhi had begun to reap some benefits. In July 2022, Prime Minister Narendra Modi participated virtually in the first leader summit under the I2U2 framework, along with Israel's then Prime Minister Yair Lapid, UAE's President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and President Biden. And in September 2023, the ambitious India Middle East Europe Corridor, Economic Corridor Connectivity Project was launched in the sidelines of the G20 summit in New Delhi. But the October 7, 2023 terrorist attacks by Hamas in southern Israel and the consequent retaliatory military response from the Israel on Gaza have posed significant challenges for India's diplomatic strategy. New Delhi will welcome a durable peace in the Middle East with a stronger American presence in the region. It considers its extended neighborhood. So Netanyahu and Mohammed bin Salman, two of the most important leaders in the region, MBS and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, have undergone major reputational transformation in recent years. MBS, who was tarnished by his war in Yemen and alleged involvement in the murder of dissident journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018, appears to some commentators today as the great liberalizer after decades of hardline absolutist rule that had shifted Saudi society. His sweeping reforms, including new rights of Saudi women, have given MBS a reputation that makes it easier for the leaders of many Western democracies to do business with him. On the other hand, Netanyahu has become, in the company of his far right allies, a hawk who appears to link continuation of the Gaza war in Gaza to his own political survival. His intransigence has made the US steadily more impatient, and Biden said that this week that he had told Netanyahu that he would halt weapons shipments if the Israeli military invaded Rafah, the southernmost city in the Gaza Strip. The warnings have not had an impact on the Netanyahu. Halting the war is key to Biden's re-election campaign. American university campuses are turmoil, and polls suggest that young Democratic voters are upset with the US support of the war. So there's another important article, one more important article regarding the Rwanda plan, and Katie Stammer in Dover. He has said that if he came to power, he will scrap the Rwanda scheme, and this that Israeli tanks have encircled the Rafah's eastern half. 1 lakh Gazans flee city in a week. So this article that Israeli tanks captured the main road dividing the eastern and western half of the Rafah on Friday, effectively encircling the entire eastern side of the city in the southern Gaza Strip. So residents describe almost constant explosions and gunfire east and northeast of the city on the Friday, with intense fighting between Israeli forces and militants from Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Hamas said it ambushed Israeli tanks near a mosque in the east of the city, a sign the Israelis had penetrated several kilometers from the east to the outskirts of the build-up area. Israel has ordered civilians out of the eastern half of Rafah, forcing tens of thousands of people to seek shelter outside the city. More than 100,000 people have fled Rafah in the last 5 days, said the UNICEF senior emergency coordinator Hamish Young. The army is targeting all of Rafah, not only the east with the tank shells and airstrikes, said Abu Hassan, a resident of the Tel Al Sultan. Israeli tanks have already sealed the eastern Rafah from the south, capturing and shutting the only crossing between Enclave and Egypt. Then advance on Friday to the Salahuddin road that bisects the strip completed the encirclement of the red zone, where they have ordered residents out. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in apparent response to US warning of haunting weapon supply, said Israel would fight with our own fingernails if it must. In a US television interview, he said he hoped Israel would overcome its disagreement with President Joe Biden. So that was all important from 11th May Indian Express newspaper. We will soon come with 12th May, that is Sunday edition of The Hindu.